See a penny? Pick it up and head to Appalachian Wireless and buy a new iPhone 13. One little old penny for an iPhone 13. Choose a 2-year contract or on the Mix and Match or Unlimited plan. Staying connected never goes out of style, and we make it easy with a new iPhone 13 for just a penny. Terms and conditions do apply. Visit AppalachianWireless.com for details. We are you. We are Appalachian Wireless.
Great communities attract talented people to live, work, and raise their families. We're committed to delivering future-proof broadband so our friends, families, and neighbors can live rich lives in smart rural communities across America. Your community is our community. We're your rural broadband partners. You do great things. We make great things possible.
And welcome to Hazard KY, baby. Before the whistle with a huge matchup. And as I walked up the hill, and of course we have this great setting. We have the RV, we have the tailgate. I'm going to let you expand on that here in a minute. But we always have the greatest setting up here on the hill in Hazard. Tailgate, the RV. Last year they gave me some food. From what I understand, we're trying to get some concession credit from Coach Matt Chandler, and it's not happening. So we might have to resort to going back to the La Palma Monaco RV that's parked immediately outside the gate behind your screen. Welcome to Before the Whistle, and of course, my esteemed partner and guest, who will also be bringing you the game tonight from the booth. And what a big game it is. The Hazard Bulldogs, undefeated, versus the Letcher County Central Cougars. A larger school, been playing a brutal schedule, and got to be prepared for this one tonight and be itching to get a dub. I wouldn't want to play the Cougs when they're desperate, and I think that's what you're going to get tonight, Coach Manus Blair.
We're in the holler.
You're in the holler.
We're in the holler, and big-time game. Big-time game for Coach Chandler, who is a alumnus of Letcher County Central High School.
That's right.
Played football, of course, at Letcher County Central. So
that's right.
It's a big game for him. Big game for both teams. Both teams Hazard right now 3-0.
Absolutely.
Letcher Central, of course, the game we had last Friday.
Yep.
A few miscues.
Yep.
And came out on the short end.
Right.
But
played a Bell County team who played in the state championship last year.
Yeah, I mean.
And then the game before that, play a team in Raceland who's competitive in 1A for the state championship every year. And then, kind of ran away from Shelby Valley in the first week of the season. So it's not like they've been playing any pushovers. And if you look on paper, and like as I was walking up the hill, I was going to mention is like everybody stopping and talking to you is like, who you got? Like, who you got? I think this is just a really interesting matchup on paper. And I do want to preface the pregame tonight as we move on. We're gonna keep talking about not the Cougars, but other Cats here in a second. But we do want to go ahead and mention that Kobe Johnson for the Cougars, a big piece of everything they do, is out tonight. And we'll talk later about how that plays in. So, speaking of desperate Cats, this week was the anniversary of the old Coastal Carolina coach. Do you remember that? Did you watch that?
Yes.
He tells the story about in his house and the cat comes through the screen door and the dog's trying to get through the screen door but can't and is chasing the cat and the cat's running around the house. And he says, we don't need no cats. We need more dogs. We don't need the cats looking in the mirror, wearing their armbands. We need more dogs. So, speaking to that point, we've got dogs and cats
plenty
this Saturday. I mean, after what we witnessed last Saturday, you were there. I was there. What are we going to do?
The sun came up.
I guess.
And, of course, me being the cat fan that I am.
Don't be sitting here telling me we're going to get more cat because I see all dogs.
But I think they'll play better this time. They can't play any worse than what they did and I believe everybody that's watching this would
Tonight's
agree,
official game is
all three aspects of their game was below
Kevin will be our honorary
standard.
captain for tonight's game, and will join our team.
Yeah,
Captain for the coin toss.
I'm not being, I'll be honest.
I don't think anybody's going to pony up this week.
Well, I've never seen so many tickets for sale on Facebook in my life. At least not since Mark Stoops took this job. What was it now? 12 years ago? 10 years ago?
Yep.
I've not seen so many people. And I want to comment and be like, hey, nobody wants these tickets, man. Quit trying to sell these tickets. You couldn't come up to me and hand me a ticket right now on this. You couldn't say, here's the ticket. Go watch the game tomorrow. I'd say, no, I'm busy and I ain't doing nothing. But it's like, I was just so discouraged last week, and it's the most discouraged I've been in quite a while. And, Stoops takes full blame for it and full credit for it, what you want to hear from your head coach. I guess where I'm going with this and my question to you, because I could probably dwell on it forever. We're talking defensively, offensively, quarterback play, special teams. We're talking all of it. I see no life last week.
Against your rival.
Against your rival at your house.
With a cram-packed Kroger Field. With the student section crammed to the top of the bleachers.
Yeah, they were.
35 rows up.
They were. So my question, I guess, I'm getting to this is, of course, you see the social media and everybody immediately jumps off a cliff because you can do that on social media. But is the seat hot?
The seat is hot.
It's hot.
When you are paid for your team to produce and then your team lays a golden egg, then the seat is hot.
It's like a rotten egg.
And like I've told you before, I have been watching UK football since 1976, and I am saying the seat is hot. And I am a optimist, as you will know.
Yeah. You're like me. You're like eternal optimist. Like I'm trying to take up for Stoops on Facebook. But
I did not try to take up for him.
I didn't
on
either.
Facebook.
This has been the first week in a very long time. I'm sorry, Coach, but I just didn't.
No.
I didn't have it in me this week. After I went and spent my money and invested my weekend, I was upset. I was very upset. I was the most upset I've been about a Kentucky loss in a very long time. That might be basketball considered also.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say the seat isn't so hot yet. But if you get just absolutely laywayed tomorrow, and two, I'm interested to see what these bleachers look like tomorrow. You're either going to see nobody there or you're going to see red.
It's going to be red.
And I think there is a chance that Georgia fans outweigh Kentucky. That's crazy to say. I think there's an outside shot that Georgia fans may outweigh Kentucky fans if they took the opportunity to check the local Facebook of Letcher County to see all of these tickets for sale.
I'm going to tell you, too, if it had been Keeneland,
yeah,
I think it would have been 50-50.
Okay.
But without Keeneland,
Yep.
I'm going to say it's going to be 60-40. The 60 are the people that's going to show up to see if this team is going to fight or die.
Like, are you going to respond?
Are you going to respond? And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to look out there. I sold my tickets.
Boo!
I sold them for $150 a piece.
Dirt cheap. Dirt cheap. That's Manus's hard-earned money.
It is really hard-earned money, but those people out there that know what a UK fan I am, I chose family over the Cats.
Ball for the first time in his life.
True.
Yeah, man. I mean, and I don't blame you. I'm worried. The seat,
worried.
for me, it's not yet, but I think if we see a lifeless Cats team tomorrow and they're not able to respond and give us something. I'm not talking about beating Georgia. I'm just saying give us something.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get drilled. Beat the line. Score. Like, give me something. I remember Will Levis's team 3 years ago, when we went on the run, when Will wasn't hurt, And it was like, what, 14-0 something before halftime, and we scored right before the half.
14-7.
And it was, that felt good. Like, and I'm not even asking for that.
Or the rain game in Georgia when Bowdoin.
Yes.
And it was 21-0, but yet we fought to the end.
We
in the
competed
rain.
in the rain. And so
I think that's where most people, including myself, was really disturbed by last weekend, is the lack of fight, the lack of emotion.
Response.
And somebody came out and said the fans were not ready. They were ready. The team was not ready.
Yeah.
Whether it was internally from each player or whether it was motivation from whatever.
And I don't know who the DJ is at Commonwealth, but I could do his job. And I promise I will do it cheaper. Whoever needs to hear this, Coach Stoops, if you want to liven up your crew, you want to get the crowd jumping, like whatever, I'm your guy. I don't know what y'all are paying this guy, but I'm better than him. I could do this job. I could DJ that stadium.
And the thing about it is every year I get that survey at the end of the year, and I put the same thing.
What do you put?
I put the DJ and the music does not live up to what the crowd needs to hear.
And
the intermission, the things in between, brings the crowd down instead of lifting the crowd up. And I'm 61 years old. I'm 61.
It'd probably be a reach to play some Bob Seger, but I mean, that's the point we're at. All right. So that's the Saturday that was for the Cats in college football. But he's still going. And the Friday that was in high school football was pretty interesting.
And those picks that I made last weekend?
Yep. Hey, I will say I will be the first to say.
I'm not picking anymore after that weekend. I did good.
You did great. So I will say, last Friday night, I'm refreshing the scoreboard page, to get these finals, and this Hazard Paris score comes up, 58-34, and I was like, Manus said this was going to be like 56-49. I was like, hell, he almost picked those points in a high school football game. And I honestly thought Paris might win that game.
That was a great game. I watched all of it twice. I've watched it twice now. It was a great game by Hazard and Paris.
So I was like, dang. And then I was, not over Linkamp for me. I know there's been so much talk about we got these new athletes out. We got a new field. We got all this energy built up behind this program, and we're ready to go. And that's going to equate to wins. And it's like, are you sure about that? There's somebody off camera. He was making mean gestures to me. So it's homecoming tonight. Everybody's in their garb. Yep, everybody's fired up. We got bow ties, white shirts. We got dresses, dress shirts, dress shoes. But yeah, Knott County, they put on their best last Friday.
And we'll see tonight when they go to Betsy Lane.
And I'm so interested to see. We'll have coming up for you later in our preview and our prophecies, who we got tonight between Betsy Lane and Knott, because what Knott has put on paper, it could be very interesting there in Betsy Lane over in Floyd County. All right. Also, Leslie tops McGoffin. No surprises there, 45-21. I think me and you both predicted that one coming. But out of that game, I do want to mention the loss of a torn Achilles to prolific receiver who we have followed closely at TVS over the past couple seasons. Of course, playing some great years there at Perry as wideout. But Mr. Noah Kilburn, I mean, our hearts go out to him, his family, and obviously,
as a senior, you hate that. You hate it any time, but
as a senior, you know, and just such a great football player in what he does, man. He had 3 touchdowns before he went. That was in the first half, before he went out of the game, unfortunately. So, Noah, if you're watching or you hear this, man, our hearts go out to you from TBS Cable and Hometown 24, man. We're wishing you a speedy recovery, and we know that your football career is not over if you don't want it to be, man. You can go do it. Rehab that thing and go play, because I think that's very possible. And, of course, Collette went on and, you know, he's threw the 3 to Noah, and he ends up with 5. I don't know what that touchdown tally is right now at the moment, but it's a lot. I think somebody earlier in the year predicted he would get to 35 or something. He's on his way.
Yes.
All right. Breathitt, Lewis, interesting game. It comes, the rain, like hailstorm in Lewis County, supposedly, and they call it, I've never heard of this, they call it in the first quarter at a score of 21-0 with Breathitt on top. Have you ever heard of that, getting called in the first quarter?
Not in the first quarter, but I've heard of them calling it after halftime.
And so, I mean,
must have been pretty bad.
It must have been really bad. And I mean, I just kind of feel like I hate that generic feeling for Breathitt in that
and I'm not
they're
sure
working to get this momentum and they got to take that.
I'm not sure if they've got a grass field. The field might have got away from them.
I'm sure they got a grass
something.
field.
I did not ask anybody, and I should have.
Yeah.
But, that's the only thing I can think of as well.
Yeah. So, and then here's another one for you. And I think you called this one. And I did not. I had Lawrence beating Perry. You picked Perry, and they came out on top 35-21. And Perry has just absolutely taken on this identity that they are going to run it down your throat. And they do it at a high clip. I mean, you got 35 points when you're basically sticking to the ground game, primarily sticking to the ground game and playing solid defensively. And they beat Lawrence last week 35-21. Thoughts on that one real quick?
I hate to brag on Prairie Central, because when I brag on them, something negative happens.
Something will happen this week.
But you got to remember, I did pick Prairie. But I picked them, I think, by a touchdown. But we'll take the 2 touchdowns.
35-21. I mean, I'm taking it. And hats off to Coach Mark Dixon and the Perry County Central Commodores, who's running wild. We got some stats for you here in a second. And then finally, in your Friday rerun and what was from last week, one that we had front and center and you covered, and I'll get your thoughts on it just really quick as to maybe what happened with the Cougs last week. But, I mean, kind of hung in, I guess. But the final, as Breathitt ran away from it late, 30-14. Thoughts on that one?
And I think I said this on the broadcast, but from the 20 to the 20, Letcher Central was great.
Was fine.
Once they got into the red zone, a few miscues, turnovers, 1 holding penalty, and the game was closer than the 30-14.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, either way, a very clean game, number of penalties and all that. Letcher Central they did not convert once they got into the red zone.
You know, I didn't know this was legal. Bell County brought the awfulest, most obnoxious train sound, and I don't know where it came from. I swear to God, they brought a locomotive into Ermine last Friday. I mean, like, this thing was so loud. Not to bring up his name, but I was sitting with Kyle Maggard, and I said, Kyle, where is this train? And he's like, they got to be playing it on that intercom. And I'm like, Kyle, we're at Letcher. They're not playing it on the intercom every time Bell County does something good. And I swear to you, this is no joke. I go home 2 miles away. I'm home 2 miles away in Mayking, and I'm trying to check the score, and I'm getting my stuff from the hatch in the SUV, and I heard that train. And I knew it must have been. I was like, well, I guess Bell County won. Because it's like 10 o'clock, and I hear the freaking train sound.
And mind you, he's not close to a train track.
No. I'm on a hill by myself. I can't even hear cars on the highway. And I hear that train. And I'm like, oh, my God. Well, Bell County's won. And sure enough, it came out 30-14. And, man, I'm so itchy to talk about this game that's coming up, but we're saving it for your primetime preview. All right, statistically speaking, I'm going to give you our touchdown rundown, but I'm not going over it twice. Usually I spit you the stats with our little Friday rerun. Touchdown rundown is going to give you all the stats, and I'm going to pause a little bit, let Manus tell us maybe his thoughts about maybe a couple of these stats that may stand out in his mind as well. All right, so Knott County, it's like the big question is like, how are they getting it done, right? Like, how is this happening? When as we look at Knott County teams traditionally in the past, and they maybe lack that scoring capability or athleticism, and now we're seeing this Knott County team essentially just light up the scoreboard, be it at home and the new scoreboard, a new turf facility. But Gage Short, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns, who I will say has been extremely efficient at quarterback.
Mm-hmm. And Gage, too, you know, that first game, he kind of came off a little bit hobbly.
Yeah.
But I think he overcame that in the last 2 games. He has been really, really good.
Solid. And it's not like what's great about the Knott County game plan that you'll see on paper is that they're not asking him to do anything crazy.
No.
It's not like he's going out here and 40 attempts a game, 30 attempts a game, maybe even 20 attempts a game. He just like you see this for the past 3 weeks. It's just super efficiency from their quarterback play. All right, rushing the ball, Bryson Everidge, and I kind of saw this kind of pointed out in our neighbors in the Hometown Sports Corner, Mr. Jamie Hughes and Mr. James Sandlin, but I saw Bryson Everidge with 3 touchdowns effectively on the ground, and I think that is the identity that Nod has kind of grown into.
I called him Dunn Nottingham.
Dunn Nottingham!
And
whoa!
Those older guys out there, they know exactly what I'm talking about. When he hits you,
you know it.
And
is that like
he is a downhill runner who puts the hurt on you if you're a linebacker or a cornerback or a safety.
He's like a
so look Dunn Nottingham
like a Mike Allstott. Is that I've never seen Don Nottingham. Is he like a Mike Allstott?
Yes.
Yeah, like my generation of running back that makes me think of that is Mike Allstott, who insisted on wearing the neck pad. We need to get Bryson a neck pad, and so he's just like,
boom. Yeah.
Absolutely. They're supposed to help you too. I mean,
but he is definitely a downhill north-south runner and doesn't care to run right over you.
North-south, baby. That's what they'll tell you. Of course, all the great high school coaches will tell you. North-south. All right, and receiving for Knott County Central, who I think for, the last year or so, it's been the one like bright spot consistency as far as physical athleticism. Also on the basketball court for Coach Casey Huff is Chance Ambergy, who scored a touchdown last week. And I think we see every week Chance's name brought up at every capacity. And just a heck of an athlete for the Knott County Central Patriots.
And he ran our first game. He ran that fly pattern.
Yeah.
And just went up above the cornerback and just caught it.
Just throw it up.
Just throw it up there and let him go get it. So
Shane Gibson also with the touchdown receiving for the Pats. And defensively now for the last couple of weeks for the Knott County Central Patriots, Mr. Zeke Hurley has showed up. And he led the Pats again in tackles with 11 last week. The kid's going to get over 100 for the year.
No doubt.
All right, the shootout here on the hill. Hazard and Paris. And a game that we know Coach Matt Chandler was really like looking forward to, nervous about. He's got to be nervous about this one tonight. I talked to his wife, Abby, as we were walking up the hill, and she's like, yeah, like nobody knows how to feel. Like, how do we feel? Well, Matt obviously feels like he going to win, so they say he's dressing in like all black. It's the funeral tonight. So Max Pelfrey last week, though, and man, what Matt has been able to get out of these pieces that returned and had experience for Hazard has been nothing short of impressive. Max Pelfrey to this point is maybe playing the most efficiently out of any statistical category in the Mountains or positional player, but he finishes 20 out of 26 for 144 and a touchdown. And then the one that jumps out with you, and I love this name.
The name.
Memphis Blankenship. Memphis, baby. It's like Jazz. Memphis Jazz. 175 yards on the ground and 5 touchdowns. Thoughts on that performance?
You know, like I said, I watched the game twice.
You watched it twice. I keep forgetting this. I've not been able to watch Hazard like I want to.
And he did things inside the tackles. He did things outside the tackle. He ran between the tackles, outside
just a
the
versatile
tackles.
runner.
It was just and he ran very physically, kind of like we were talking about with Everidge.
Yeah.
He will put his pads down, and he runs behind his line very, very well.
Okay.
And, you know, Hazard's line is very young.
Right.
But yet they were very physical against Paris.
Obviously, I'm seeing, like, you know, and again, like, a lot of what I get is either on the radio, some small clips on the coverage.
Right.
But I'm looking at things statistically, and I'm realizing, like, Hazard has a great balance of athleticism, like, beat you, big play capability, but also is willing to get down in the trenches with you and not play finesse. I feel like on paper they got a great balance of finesse and physicality.
Yeah.
Would that be true?
Oh yeah, and you know when you got Gavin Johnson on that and Connor Holbrook.
Yep. And Gavin also scored a touchdown on the ground last week. Max scored a touchdown on the ground last week. Jadrian Wells scored a touchdown on the ground last week. So 5, 6, 7, 8 touchdowns on the ground for the Dogs. They got more dogs last week. And then receiving, Gavin Johnson also caught a touchdown and 163 yards. It's kind of like what I'm seeing out of Max, too, is like 1 week it's Javon, 1 week it's Gavin, 1 week it's, you know, it's somebody kind of different. And it's like I feel like they're very well balanced through the air and on the ground, this Hazard team, and defensively, as Race Linden had 10 tackles last week. So I just feel like Hazard's got a good vibe going. Be interesting to see, and we'll talk about it here in a minute if they can keep it up tonight against the Cougs. All right, speaking to the Cougs, as we wave at Superintendent Denise Yachts. So against Bell last week, I don't know. I mean, I guess Q with the touchdown, Kobe with the touchdown. I guess, you know, our boy Gunner kind of struggled a little bit against that Bell County secondary.
I've never seen a safety this year so far that is like the one from Bell County.
Tell us
Bridgman.
about it.
He was 6'4".
Really?
Yes. So, and I know, I guess I'm taking up for Gunner.
Yeah.
When you were trying to throw that thing into the end zone, you're not looking at a typical 5'8" or 5'9" safety. You're looking at an athletic 6'4". So, you know,
he's like a out receiver. I mean, he's like a monster.
You know, as the old quarterback coach says, you know, you stare down your receiver.
Sure.
You couldn't do it with this guy because he's either going to deflect it, intercept it, do something with it. So just made for a night of learning for Gunner Holbrook.
Well, I mean,
and I'm sure he saw it on film this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I would look for some changes on the central front offensively for sure tonight going into this game, especially missing the physicality and running capability and catching capability, the everything capability of Kobe Johnson. You know, they're obviously going to miss. It was great to see Q Williams.
Ran the ball much better.
Really involved, and ran the ball well. So I would expect tonight, I don't want to give away too much. We got primetime preview coming up, but I would expect a whole lot of Q tonight on the offensive side of the ball. And obviously Kobe with the touchdown. And then Dawson Kinzer on the defensive side of the ball. And this is like bright spot maybe. And they played without Brett Smith last week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and he'll be back tonight.
And he's back tonight. Yes. So it's like, man, can we get like one night of healthy, good football from the Cougars? And so far this season, at least in the last 2 weeks, it's been difficult. But Dawson Kinzer filling in. It's almost like he stepped into that role for Brett, at least on on the defensive side of the ball with 18 tackles. He must have been all over the field.
And, you know, the thing about Dawson, very intelligent, and most people know him as the catcher on Letcher Central.
He's a great – I've seen him play baseball. I hadn't got to watch him play football.
Because
I've watched him play basketball. He's an amazing basketball player when he played.
Just an overall good
great
student.
athlete. Yep. So hats off to them. Of course, I got to go back to the performance by the one and only, who's becoming, I guess it comes without argument. And speaking to Max so far, man, what Landry Collette is doing statistically is like, it's high level. You know, last week he rushes for 5 touchdowns. This week he throws for 5 touchdowns. Right? So Landry, 295 yards in the air and 5 touchdowns. Tanner Sizemore with the touchdown. And then on the receiving end was Ryland Simpson with 101 yards and a touchdown. Caden Shepard with the touchdown. And, of course, Noah, who our thoughts and prayers with in a speedy recovery from a torn Achilles. 3 touchdowns before he went out of the game in the first half as the Eagles marched on to 45 points. And on the defensive side, Ryland showing up on both sides of the ball. 7 tackles along with Jaden Hacker, and Ryland also had 2 sacks to go along with those 7 tackles. And Braden Holland had 7 tackles to help lead the way for the Eagles on the defensive side. What are your thoughts? Have you watched Landry play?
I have. I watched some, and I just think I think we talked about this, is that Leslie County was finding their way last Friday.
Yep.
I think it's all through him.
Yep.
And
the great thing about you saying that is, like, it could be on the ground. It's almost like a Josh Allen.
Well, it's no different. Most people want a 50, if you can, a 50-50. And depending on what kind of defensive scheme you see on a Friday night will determine if that goes up or down on either side. And I think that's what Leslie County has done. When a defense have been a lot of people in the box, he's been able to throw the ball. When they have spread it out and there's not a lot of people in the box,
they must be putting him in RPO situations.
And you know, I just give credit to Coach Melton and putting him in a situation where his talents can be used to the best on a Friday night, depending on what he expects the other team to play defense. So
yeah, I think I'm excited to watch that continue to happen and continue to develop as the season goes along as Landry Collette, because I think we're witnessing a special talent at quarterback for the Eagles this season. All right. Perry, Lawrence. They did not get – they got the dogs. They caught the dog. Rushing on the ground. Listen to this. Caden Gibson, 211 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then Colin Combs, 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. You know, you're looking at 2 guys, 317 yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground for the Commodores. They got to be doing it in big chunks.
And, you know, the thing about it is, I talked about Coach Melton, but Coach Dixon, he's utilizing the talents in which he has on that offensive team.
Yep.
And putting it to the, you know, even when they put 8 people in the box, they're still able to run the football.
As far as, like, my interest level, I think going into the year, I was really interested to see about Leslie County, and I think I've kind of figured out where they're at. I was really interested to see the Cougars, and I still have a couple question marks of, hey, when Kobe and Brett and, like, maybe not playing a state championship level team, like, what are we going to see? You know, we might get a little bit of that tonight. You know, Breathitt, we're still trying to figure out. I think as far as just interesting as to what we saw week 1 to where we're at now is the growth of Perry. I just, like, are they going to be a team that maybe going into the year, I was like, I don't know if they're going to be able to compete with Letcher. I don't know if they're going to be able to compete in that district. And now what we've seen in the past 2 weeks and them really honing in on that identity is like, maybe they can compete. Yeah. If you can run the ball.
And then you can be efficient in dropping the thing off on the from the quarterback side.
I mean, you don't know.
It's still we're still in the young part of the season.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, we're
so teams are still trying to find, as you say, that identity, and we'll see.
Even though it's unreal, I mean, I guess this is what week 4? We're in week 4. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't believe we're already. It feels like yesterday. We're getting ready at Knott and dedicating the field and ready to kick this thing off. But yeah, now it's right now, right?
Right now
is right now. You want to try to say, okay, here's what we've done. Here's what we got. Here's who we're going to be rolling into
district play.
Yes. Like right now, like this week, right, is when you're like, hey, we've got to figure this out. Which takes us to our primetime preview, and 2 teams. One team obviously figuring it out at a high capacity, and the other team maybe looking to get off the snide tonight, and gotta expect them to play desperate in the Letcher County Central Cougars. Before we get to our prophecies, I'm not going to ask you who you're taking yet.
Okay.
Let's make it interesting. I want you to give me a score, and then later you can tell me if you want to. Last week I let you bail out on the Cougar bail score. You bailed out. And I mean,
not completely.
Not completely. And you had the score.
Anyway.
And you were close on score. I think you said 21-14.
28-21.
Okay, 28-21.
I said it would be 21-21 going into the fourth.
You did. That's what you said.
And then I said it'd be a touchdown.
That's right. Josh, we're going to have to start writing this stuff down. Write it down, Josh. What are you doing up there? You're drinking coffee. I know that's what you're doing. You ain't doing nothing. Are you even listening to me?
No.
No, you don't even know. Write this down. I lose track of this stuff. All right, so it's 20. Is this him texting me? It is 30-14 last week, and I will give you credit. It was close. So what I want you to do is give me a score, and then let's talk about it a little bit. Let's hash it out between the dudes. And I'll tell you what I told some people as I was walking up the hill. And then if you want to, I'll let you tell me. If you want to, I'll let you tell me who's on the winning end of that score.
So one side's going to get mad at me.
You're in a pickle.
Jay Billis.
You're in a pickle because those of you at home, and we've mentioned this before on the broadcast, is obviously Coach Matt Chandler is a Letcher County boy, born, raised, played for the Cougars.
And he sits beside me at the UK football game.
But not only that, he's like Manus's family. Him and his wife, Abby,
yes,
who are 2 amazing people.
Dickie Adams' dog.
Matt was one of the first people that messaged me when I got the job at Jenkins. And Abby, too. They've always been in my corner, and so you best believe I'm in Abby and Matt's corner. So this is a toughie for you.
And then, of course, me being a Letcher County.
You're a Letcher County.
Former AD.
AD, worked a whole life, coach, lifetime member of the Coug family.
I'll do it just for the viewers.
Okay, so give me the score. I'm going to still let you have fun. Give me the score.
I think it's going to be 35-28.
Okay, great. All right, now I'm going to tell you the score. I can show you this in a text message. I will show you this in a text message. Let me see. I will show you this in a text. I will literally show the camera. Josh, are you awake up there? Are you drinking coffee? I will show you this text message. I will not. Actually, I might not because this person might get mad at me. Where's he at? Anyway, so my predicted score. Okay. My predicted score. Here we go. If I could show you this without being too incriminating. Okay, no, I can't. Look. What's that say?
38-28.
So my score is 38-28. This is great minds, people. This is great minds. Manus got every game right last week.
And we'll miss every one this week.
Miss them all this week. So you say 35-28.
I say 35-28.
I say 38-28 as provided proof. Who are you looking for? Let's kick it off this way. We're going to try to give the viewers hints as to who you're picking. Who are you looking most forward to making the difference in this game tonight?
For Letcher Central, it will be Quentin Williams on the offensive side. On the defensive side, I think it's going to probably be whoever takes Kobe Johnson's spot.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that, and they play that different style of defense.
They do. For those of you at home that have not witnessed it before, Letcher is not a traditional get down in a three-point or get down in a stance on the defensive side of the football, on the defensive line. They're literally like, and I personally, like, I've not read much into it, and I saw some, like, one fan say something about it on Facebook last week. It's super unconventional, but I kind of like the idea. Like, you're up ready to run at the ball.
Jolie Dunn.
Jolie Dunn. Is this the
Mississippi State defensive coordinator not too far back? It's the closest thing I see to it. But they got down on the front three, so it's still a little bit different.
Yeah.
So,
but everybody, from what I understand, like, everybody's up ready to run at you, right?
So to answer on the Hazard side, I look for Memphis. Can Pelfrey stay? He's done a very good job of staying in the pocket when he needs to.
Right.
When he rolls, he's got something. But can Letcher Central, can Brett Smith, the matchup between Brett Smith and Gavin Johnson?
Whoa.
Two very, very good athletes.
Whoa.
Of course, most of you know that Brett won the
400-meter state championship.
So, Gavin Johnson, Brett Smith.
Whoa.
Who wins the battle?
Manus, I hadn't even thought about it, but you're about to witness this is like in the NFL when they get two studs. Like, you had Juice Gardner with whoever it was the first night. Who was it? Ayuk, the first week in the Niners versus Jets. We get the pleasure of watching Brett Smith versus Gavin Johnson tonight.
And so for those that don't know, Brett Smith is number 18 and Gavin Johnson is number 14.
I mean, what a matchup to keep your eye on tonight as we roll into this game. My mind immediately jumps, of course, being a quarterback sympathizer, because I'm like QB1 for life. I'm like immediately jump to, I'm ready. I know Gunner is itching. You're a competitor like Gunner. You're itching to come back this week. You forget about the bad things last week. You learn from it, and then you're ready. You're just itching for tonight. A rivalry game, a big game, a game your team needs to win.
For momentum.
Yep. Especially rolling into district. And a game that some people may not pick you, right, is like, dang, I'm ready to see what Gunner can do tonight to just, as a redemption, let me get back out here, let me play, and let me do my thing tonight. Especially having Brett back. It's like, I think you're going to see, and I agree with the Q, but I think you're going to see a whole lot of Brett Smith on the offensive side of the football and trying to get him the ball in space.
Yeah, and Trip Stamper versus Kenyon.
Oh, my God, bro. Kenyon, you know this. I mean, I will talk. Me and Kenyon, not me and Kenyon, but Kenyon and my boys, they will talk at each other while playing the game of basketball all day, every day, then hug each other after the game and say, great game. And there's something about Kenyon Higgins that I just love. I think he's just a physical presence that is just unmatched.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he's kind of like physical dirty without being dirty, right? Like, I think he's just a great physical presence on the hardwood and between the lines here on the turf.
And, the thing about it is, and, of course, I've watched all of Hazard's games, watched all of Letcher Central's game. Kenyon Higgins has played against Paris. He played a little bit more on the offensive side at tackle.
Okay.
So see him when if there's a rotation, then you'll see Higgins. Coach Chandler has pretty much rested him during the offense. I don't think he rests him very much tonight.
I'm interested to see. So, big question tonight is maybe
number 72 for Hazard.
How much do you see 72 rest tonight? That could play into it, because I think by that score, me and you both kind of see maybe not a shootout,
Yeah.
But maybe like a like a baby shootout. Like there's going to be points scored tonight.
I'm going to tell you, if it becomes a shootout, it will be Hazard's game.
Yeah.
I think Letcher Central's going to try to overpower them.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
To a certain extent.
I think depth-wise and probably physicality maybe across the board.
Yeah.
Letcher might have the upper hand. Would that be fair? But
you know, Hazard's got those young players, but they're really, really physical.
And Kenyon is really physical. But I just think about, you know, Big Evan Cummings up front, and I think about Trip Stamper, and I think about Q, and I think about Jackson Meade. And you know, unfortunately they don't have Kobe, but you know, Brett's as physical as they come for the positional that he is, for the position he is. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm really interested, and you spoke to, this is perfect, those matchups tonight across the board. I can't help but wonder as you say that if both sides play a little keep away, and who that may favor. I got to think that may favor the Cougars a little more than the Dogs.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
That's fair. And I have no insight. I have not talked to Coach Chandler, nor have I talked to Coach Matthews about their game plans.
Okay.
I purposefully.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Sit next to me at Kentucky football games tomorrow?
I purposely did not ask them, either one, about what they were going to do. I promise.
He promises. He gave him his word, and he's not running for office. He should. That's the last thing left on his to-do list.
No.
And somewhere in Blackie. All right, so that takes us to, I'm not going to take the winner yet because we are moving on as time ticks down under 15 minutes until kickoff. We've got our prophecies. We're going to have to hustle through the first few. Harlan Independent is at Leslie tonight. I feel like that's going to be an easy pick for you, but who you got?
42-7.
Whoa.
Leslie County.
Roll, fly, Eagles, fly. And I think I'm on that tip. I think, you know, maybe Harlan might get another score. It might be like 12-13. You know, I firmly see Leslie County being able to put up 42, 40, something like that, 38 tonight. So I'll just go a shade closer and go like 38-14, 38-13. But I still, you know, I think me and you both agree the Eagles in sort of a flyaway on that one. All right. Here's a tough one for you. So we know it's not been a secret that Coach Moore and the Bobcats have been trying to find identity, struggled through the first 2 weeks, lost in the Honey Bowl, bounced back last week in a weird rain cancellation. They've got Johnson Central coming to the Riverbank tonight. Ugh.
I love you, Coach Moore, but I gotta go 42-21 Johnson Central.
Man, I love the people of Breathitt County, and they give me a hard time. It was one time I picked Hazard over Breathitt County. One time, and they won't let me live it down. I love Austin Sperry. I love Coach Moore.
But see,
I love Coach Honeycutt.
I did pick Breathitt County, though.
Yeah, that game? You did.
I did.
He picked him, so you're the hero. Maybe I should pick Breathitt tonight. Maybe it'll make the slate even, like we're all good.
I'm sorry.
I will take Johnson, but, and something very similar, and I hate to keep agreeing with you, but I do think that Coach Moore and the Bobcats will figure this out by the time it comes playoff, and watch for them to be competitive when it comes to district play. I will say that much, and I firmly, every bit of my soul, everybody in Breathitt County, please love me. That's the way I feel. You will figure it out.
And they did last year.
And they did last year, and they will this year.
And Lloyd Memorial, that game could have went either way.
Either way. All right, so Knott County, another interesting matchup. Knott County at Betsy Lane. I think Betsy Lane has been great been great this year. They've been great last year. They've been really, like, they've built that program up there to be something super competitive. So it's like Knott has all this momentum, but now for the first time in a couple weeks they're away. Who's this one? What do you got on this one? This one's a toughie for me.
Chance Ambergy.
Oh, God.
Mason Ambergy.
Oh, gosh. Here we go.
Go Wild. Betsy Lane has not seen two like them.
Oh, my
and
God.
Gavin Mosley will have 2 interceptions
Kentucky.
tonight.
Kevin will be our honorary
And
captain
Knott
for tonight's
County
game, and will join our
will go
team captain
4-0.
for the coin flip.
And
Oh,
it's going
my
to be 28-21. Knott County.
The line at the drive-thru at JD Liquors at the foot of the hill, you won't be able to get in there. The Betsy Lane fans will be sad. They'll be ready. It was booze we lose. Lose we booze. JD's don't shut down on us tonight.
But I believe Knott County's.
You think so?
I believe they're going to do it.
I'm going to go different because I can do this, and Betsy Lane's not in our coverage area, and I got to go different from you in one pick. I'm going to say Betsy Lane wins, but I think Knott County and that momentum they have keep it very close. I think it's something like 28-21 tonight in favor of Betsy Lane. Write that down, Josh. Write it down. You're up there doing nothing, twiddling your thumbs. All right, Perry at Bell. Whoa. Can't believe these matchups tonight.
Oh, man. It's hard to win at Log Mountain.
At Bell. You saw Bell.
Perry County fans, don't get mad at me.
The Doors.
But you're going to win.
What?
You're going to win.
This is getting ridiculous.
You're going to go to Bell County, and you're going to win.
This is ridiculous.
And you're going to win.
Number 10, Quentin Williams. Number 13,
at the Horn.
Keaston
Whoa.
Branham.
Whoa.
So
On
it's going to be a
Mountain.
6-point deficit, and I'm going to say
Evan Cummings. Number 69.
I'm going to say 20-14 Commodores.
He sold his Kentucky tickets, people. The signs are there that he's lost it. The signs are there. And
2014
he's
Perry
picking the
County
Doors.
Central.
I'm picking the Bobcats in a runaway on Long Mountain. I'm going to pick them something similar to the Letcher score, 30-14. All right, this is it. We got to go for the national anthem. Who wins, Letcher or Hazard?
And the invocation.
Letcher or Hazard?
Which one?
I'm going to say, Matt Chandler, you didn't give me a concession credit. I'm going to pick Letcher Central on you.
I will take the Dogs 38-28. He's taking the Cougs 35-28. We'll see you next week on Before the Whistle.
Don't get
Enjoy
mad
the
at
game. Enjoy the game.
Nestled in the mountains of Appalachia, along the Purpose Road, is a hidden gem, Alice Lloyd College. For 100 years, ALC has been providing opportunities.
Opportunity to learn from the best.
Opportunity to work for my education.
Opportunity to serve my community.
Opportunity to become a leader.
Opportunity to find my life's purpose.
Apply now to find your purpose at Alice Lloyd College.
What keeps you going? Your love for the game? Your teammates? A victory? At ARH Orthopedics, our goal is to keep you pain-free so your body can keep going. There's no time for discomfort in your joints or ligaments caused by an injury. ARH Orthopedic providers specialize in treatment plans, from non-surgical and surgical options, so your care is entirely centered around you. Visit arh.org/ortho to find an orthopedic provider near you. ARH, more for Appalachia.
For over 100 years, the Bank of Hyman has been committed to serving our community and serving the future of our families, homes, and businesses. With our new convenient online banking, viewing your account balance and history, transferring money, and paying bills has never been easier or more secure. And with the construction of our new headquarters, we've renewed our promise to Hyman to stand by our customers even in troubling economic times, because we're not just your bank, we're your neighbors. That's the Bank of Hyman. Log on to www.bankofhyman.com or give us a call at 606-785-3158.
No matter what town or community you live in, there's a Tim Short dealership nearby. That's because our family of dealerships are dedicated to serving the folks throughout Eastern Kentucky. Our employees are your friends and neighbors, helping to support the local economy and provide safe and affordable transportation to everyone that shops the family of Tim Short dealerships. Our entire inventory can be found with the click of a button at timshortautogroup.com. Visit us online and join the thousands of customers that took the short drive to satisfaction today.
Hi, I'm attorney David Johnson. You may recognize me from some of our other ads, but injuries from an auto accident are no joking matter. With over 25 years of experience, our offices have the resources and expertise to go head-to-head with big insurance. While most of our cases get resolved without going to court, trust me, they know if the attorney you choose will take it this far. Either way, our clients get paid. So for all your legal needs, get the pros on your side.
Home sweet home. At First Federal Savings and Loan of Hazard, we've been providing our friends and neighbors the sweet dream of homeownership since 1960. We're proud to support the community we work and live in. That's why we take so much pride in providing competitive rates, low closing costs, and quick turnaround by local decision makers. Investing and growing our community is what we do. At First Federal Savings and Loan of Hazard, we believe that there's no place like our home. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Just want to watch the game.
Dad turned on the ceiling fan, used the gray remote, hit power, then input.
It's not working.
That's the silver one.
It might be difficult to understand what all the remotes on your coffee table do. But with a Kentucky Farm Bureau agent in every county, at least it's easy to get great insurance. Kentucky Farm Bureau, big on commitment.
Next time, I'll just go to the game.
A lot has changed in 100 years. We've gone from the Model T to the electric car, from silent film to home theaters, and from the telegram to the iPhone. And through it all, People's Bank and Trust of Hazard has been there for local people. From paper checks to debit cards, from wire transfers to online banking, People's Bank has maintained a tradition of service while embracing the future for your financial needs. Celebrating a century of service to the mountains. People's Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Daniel Field in Hazard, Kentucky, Hazard High School. And tonight, the Letcher County Central Cougars travel down from Whitesburg to meet the Hazard Bulldogs. Jim McCauley, Dave Adams, and Manus Blair will join us shortly, and Jim McCauley is here. And Jim Bob, looking at these two teams, normally we have a good football game when these two meet. It's usually a close battle. It's usually a physical battle. But tonight, the Cougars, Kobe Johnson, will not play. And, Manus, I'm going to tell you, the young man looked good against Bell County.
Yeah, it's a big loss for the Cougars. Kobe brings a lot of physicality to the Cougar ball team. And, for the Cougars to be successful tonight, they've got to control the line of scrimmage. And
I agree.
That's one thing that Kobe brings, because Hazard is a very, very athletic and fast team. So that's going to be something to watch tonight.
Somebody else is going to have to pick up on defense as well. He plays that linebacker spot and does a nice job. He's very good at closing the hole, penetrating. He does a very good job at tackling. He does all the fundamentals very well.
He's a fifth-year senior, and I think he's a four-year starter. So, losing that. But, they do get Brett Smith back tonight. Brett was out the Bell County game. So look for Brett to step up, and another senior to step into that leadership role tonight for the Cougars.
Also, Manus Blair has joined us. He got his job done before the whistle. Him and Winston always doing a great job down there, getting us updated, and we'll keep you updated tonight as well. All the local scores in the area, Knott County at Betsy Lane. We also have on Channel 25 tonight, Johnson Central and Breathitt County. Should be a Dandy and Jackson there as well. And we'll try to update you as much as possible. But we've got a dandy to start here in Hazard. Let's look at Hazard. Max Pelfrey will be the quarterback for them. He's a senior. He knows the game. He's been there playing that spot many times, so he's very veteran.
His accuracy lately has been much better, staying in the pocket when he needs to stay in the pocket. Rolling out, he's been pretty efficient. The Paris game, I think he was 20 of 26. A lot of that was to Gavin Johnson.
Yeah.
So they know each other well. And I think, looking at the stats, I think that Gavin is, top 10 in the region.
Oh, yeah.
For receiving and yards after catch. And I think that Max was also in the top 10 for completions.
Yes.
Yep.
And, that was a wild, guys. I ran up the bleachers, so if you hear me breathing hard.
And you did a good job.
I didn't fall but one time, but Hazard is very well balanced.
Yes, they are.
Memphis Blankenship runs the ball very, very well. Of course, last weekend against Paris, he went in the end zone. I think it was 5 times. So very, 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 very hard runner. Letcher Central, of course, with Kobe Johnson out.
That's going to be a little different ball game, I think, for the Cougars.
Quentin Williams is going to have to take on a lot of the running for Letcher Central. Field and the crowd, you can sense it, guys. As I was walking up, you could sense the anticipation of this game. As you look to the left down here, there's a lot of people here.
Yes,
a lot of people.
Nice crowd.
But this is a great rivalry.
Yeah.
When you have a Letcher Hazard, Letcher Perry, those teams, the kids know each other. Social media, I'm sure all week, as a coach, we always had to say, make sure you stay off social media, but telling a 16-year-old to not talk a little smack is really hard. So,
in the series, Hazard actually has the series history lead of 9-3. They've played 12 times since Letcher Central opened, and Hazard's had even though the average score is like 31-26 or something like that. So it's been close games. Last year's game wasn't close, but I expect this game to come right down to the end.
Holland will get ready to kick off for the Bulldogs, and a little squig kick, and it's picked up by the Cougars, and they end up at the 45. Be 1st and 10 for Letcher Central. Number 10, Holland, kicking off there. I had the pleasure of coaching his mother at Alice Lloyd College. And it's Tara Holland. She was Tara Cody at the time.
Yes.
And it's good to see her.
I did not know that.
She came up and
we waved
visited
at we waved at Miss Tanya Cody.
Absolutely.
And that was Gavin Brown that received the pooch.
Yep.
Ramsey.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Gavin Ramsey?
Yeah, Gavin Ramsey.
It's listed as Gavin Brown on there. So.
Yep.
Two backs will set with Holbrook in the backfield, wide out each way. A fake handoff up the middle, and he'll pick up 4 on that carry. That was Holbrook. A nice stunt there, Jim McCauley. You used to run that play.
That's just
sometimes.
Just a quarterback counter.
Yeah.
That's a play we've not seen so far from them this year. And fake the ball to Williams and pulled the guard and come right up the middle.
Put in because Johnson.
Well, and too, everybody's gearing themselves to Williams.
Yeah.
So Lyndon or whoever the linebacker on that side is probably looking at Williams.
Yep, wide out each way as Williams set to the right. Here's the handoff right off of right guard for the Cougars. Not much room there as he stopped running. And 3rd down coming up for the Cougars.
Yeah, and that's Brett Smith, the speedster, and we know that if Brett can get a crease, he's a kid that can potentially take it all the way every time he touches the ball. But that time, looked like he kind of slowed down just a little bit.
He did. I thought he stopped.
A little tentative.
Yeah.
But, I'm sure he's really hyped up for this game after sitting out last week.
Yep, he's a senior as well as single back there. Smith will go out to the right and line up. Wide outs each way. Look for Mr. Williams to get an opportunity this time possibly. And here's the pass in there. It's caught. And nowhere to go there as the Bulldogs was ready for that. No gang on the play. And it's going to be 4th and almost 5. And, guys, you about to have to punt her, don't you?
I think they're coming out to punt. As Connor Holbrook came up to make that stop on the outside for the Bulldogs. So playing a game of possession, field position, not possession, but field position here.
Yeah. Back for Hazard will be number 14. That's Johnson. And got good speed, strong kid, runs the ball well.
I don't think they're going to punt it straight to him.
And the punt is off, and it's going to sail over to the right of the field and gets a Cougar roll.
I believe it's going to go
down.
In. No. Let's see.
Let's see what they say.
They're called it on the 1.
And if it is, it's a super punt by the Cougars.
Look like and they have called it. I think that was I think that was the proper call that time.
Yeah.
And I think it was official Dylan Fields, I believe, that came in and was discussing that. And
yeah.
I think they made the right call.
I know most of the athlete had the ball, and he was in the end zone, so,
But it ended up being a nice punt.
It was a nice punt. He got the Cougar roll.
A bad snap, and he picked it up.
And, you cannot punt that thing to Gavin Johnson in there.
Yeah. Pelfrey will be the quarterback for the Bulldogs. Wide out, 2 to the left, 1 to the right, and the handoff. Right up the center, and a pickup.
Maybe a half a yard.
Maybe.
I believe that was Tripp Stamper on the tackle there, number 75.
And number 20 carrying the mail for
Blankenship
is Terry Davison. Blankenship is a kid who runs the ball extremely well also, guys. Pelfrey's going to air this one, and it's caught 25, 30, 35, makes a move, 36, spins, and ends up at the 41. That's going to be 1st and 10 for Hazard.
Just broke. No, not good tackling by Letcher County Central, and you cannot play a game that way with Gavin Johnson.
You know, Hazard really going with the hurry up right here, pressing the tempo. The chains haven't even been set yet.
Yep, wide outs each way, and here's Pelfrey coming to the right side this time, and nowhere to go really. A gang of 2, maybe 3 that time. It's going to be about 3, the official marks. Jim Bob, do you think?
Yeah, that's a really good spot.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, and Brett Smith come up, made the tackle on
2nd,
White.
7. Coming up for Hazard.
So Hazard really pushing the tempo here.
Yes, they are.
And already ran out of different formations, and so trying to confuse Letcher Central.
It's a lot of cushion they're giving the receivers over here.
Oh, yeah.
Pelfrey with a handoff left side. Nowhere to go that time. Good defense by the Cougars. 3rd down, about 4 coming up, almost 5 for Hazard.
That was Sargent and
Howard
on the tackle.
So look for this. You know, if they're giving the Cougars, they're giving them that much cushion, that screen's going to be there. And,
yes, it is.
Hazard's very dangerous in open field. Now they're coming up to press this time.
Yes, they are. Pelfrey waiting for the snap. Wide outs, 3 to the right, 1 to the left. Drops back, ball in the air. He's got a guy, but it's too deep and overthrew. And 4th down coming up. And let's see. You would think the Bulldogs would punt this away.
They're going to punt, as Stidham had the coverage that time.
Yeah, and a good defensive adjustment that time for the Cougars.
Yeah,
you know,
it was.
They come up
with
with the press
indeed.
coverage and play man free over the top. And
yes, indeed.
Yeah, they heard Jim Bob say, you can't play with that cushion, and immediately they came up.
They closed, didn't they?
Maybe he's got a radio set down there to the defensive coordinator.
They turned it off.
They turned so.
Hazard getting ready to punt the football away as Max Pelfrey will get the honor and
kind of shanked it
out
off
of bounds. And that's the 32-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10.
Yeah, good field position for the Cougars right here.
Yes, it is.
Now, I'm anxious to see if they come out and try to establish the run early. Not a lot going on with the run. Do they stay with it, Manus, or do they try to start throwing the ball a little?
I think as long as